911, what's your emergency? He's back. I think he's going to kill me. By the time officers arrived, the house was quiet. No shouting. No struggle. Just the hum of a television playing in the background, its glow flickering against the walls. The front door was unlocked. The air inside, thick with the smell of gunpowder. And there, in the hallway, she lay still. Tyesha Jackson. 29 years old. A woman whose life had been defined by love, by loyalty, and by the man standing over her body, gun still in his hand. Demetrius Carter. 34 years old. Her husband. And years before, the man who had murdered the only person she ever truly loved. He didn't run. He didn't beg. He waited. Waited for the police to arrive. Waited for the questions. And when they asked what happened, he only gave them 3 words. I told her. 6 years earlier, Tyesha stood in a courtroom, watching this same man be led away in handcuffs. She knew what he had done. She knew the life he had stolen. And yet, when the prison gates opened, she was there, waiting. Waiting to bring him home. Waiting to start a life with the man who had once put a bullet in the heart of the person she swore she could never live without. Now, she was gone. And the man she had once forgiven had done what he always told her he would do. This isn't just a story about love. It's a story about the weight of choices, the echoes of the past, and the inescapable pull of fate. Because sometimes, the person we trust most is the one who has been waiting all along, to destroy us. Welcome to In the Shadows of Crime. Home was a small house on 8th Avenue West in Ensley, Birmingham. A place where streetlights flickered at night, where front yards were more dirt than grass, where voices carried through open windows, telling stories that stretched across generations. The house was modest. White paint, blue shutters, a screen door that creaked when it swung open. A cracked sidewalk ran along the front, the kind worn down by time, by footsteps, by the weight of everything that came before. It was the kind of home that held warmth, even when the world outside felt cold. A place that smelled of cornbread and hair grease, where gospel music played on Sunday mornings, where prayers were whispered at night. Lorraine Jackson raised her daughter here. A single mother who worked 2 jobs, never asking for help, never expecting life to give her anything for free. She cleaned houses during the day, waited tables at night. Tired hands, tired feet, but she never let it show. She made sure Tyesha had what she needed: food, clothes, a roof over her head. Love. The kind that wasn't spoken, just understood. Faith was stitched into the fabric of their lives. Sundays belonged to church. Stiff dresses, patent leather shoes, the smell of old hymnals. A congregation that held on to each other like family. Because in neighborhoods like this, faith wasn't just belief. It was survival. Tyesha grew up knowing struggle, but she also knew ambition. She was the girl teachers pointed to when they talked about potential. Smart, determined. The kind of girl who stayed after class to help younger students, who sat on the front row, who had a name people expected to hear again someday. She had plans. College, a career, a life beyond the streets she walked every day. She wanted more than Ensley. More than the same cycle that had trapped so many before her. She wasn't going to be another girl with a story that ended too soon. Then she met Marcus Williams. And everything changed. Marcus Williams wasn't the loudest person in the room. He wasn't the one who started fights or chased trouble. He was the one who kept his head down, who worked hard, who had a plan when most people his age were still figuring out how to make it through the week. He grew up just a few streets away from Tyesha, in a home where the doors were always open, where family wasn't just blood but anyone who needed a meal, a place to crash, a second chance. His mother, Janice, raised him with the belief that a man's word was his bond, that you didn't take from people, that respect was earned, not demanded. He played football in high school. Not a star athlete, but good enough to get noticed. College scouts came around, but Marcus had other plans. He wanted to build something with his hands. Fix things. Cars, engines, anything that came apart and could be put back together again. He got his first job at a mechanic's shop when he was 17, sweeping floors, changing tires, learning everything he could. He and Tyesha weren't just high school sweethearts. They were each other's future. The kind of love people in the neighborhood pointed to and said, "That's real." She pushed him to be better. He kept her grounded. They talked about opening a shop together one day, Williams Auto, right there in Ensley, so people wouldn't have to go across town when they needed something fixed. They talked about leaving too. Moving somewhere quieter, somewhere safe. They talked about forever. But forever never came. On April 5, 2012, Marcus left work late. He stopped at a gas station, the same one he had been to 100 times before. A quick stop. A drink, maybe a pack of gum. Nothing out of the ordinary. Inside the store, he was just another customer. Outside, someone was waiting. Demetrius Carter. A name Marcus knew. A face he had seen before. Carter wasn't like Marcus. He didn't believe in hard work. He believed in power. In making people remember his name. He had been in and out of trouble since he was a teenager, drug charges, fights, robbery. And in Ensley, everyone knew what it meant when someone like him had a problem with you. The argument had started weeks before. Some said it was about money. Others said it was about respect. Whatever it was, it didn't end with words. A single gunshot. Close range. The kind that leaves no room for second chances. Marcus staggered. The bottle slipped from his fingers, rolling across the pavement, water spilling like blood. By the time he hit the ground, it was already over. 23-year-old Marcus Williams was pronounced dead at the scene late Thursday night, the victim of a fatal shooting. Authorities believe the suspect, identified as Demetrius Carter, fled the scene immediately after the attack. But Carter didn't get far. Less than 24 hours later, he was in handcuffs. The evidence was overwhelming. Surveillance footage. Witnesses. Ballistics. The case moved quickly. By the time it reached trial, there was little left to argue. Guilty. Second-degree murder. Sentenced to 20 years. For Tyesha, it was justice. But it wasn't closure. Marcus was gone. Nothing would bring him back. And as the world moved forward, she was left behind, carrying a grief that didn't fade, only settled deeper inside her. For most people, the story ended there. The killer locked away, the victim mourned. Another tragedy in a city that had seen too many. But Tyesha's story wasn't over. Because 2 years later, the first letter arrived. It was from him. The first letter arrived in 2014. 2 years after Marcus's murder. 2 years after Demetrius Carter was locked away. It had no reason to be there. No reason to exist. And yet, there it was, sitting in her hands, waiting to be opened. I never meant to hurt you. I think about you every day. I just want to make things right. She should have burned it. Should have thrown it away. Should have left it unopened, let the past stay buried. But something in her fingers betrayed her. Something in her heart told her not to look away. She wrote back. At first, it was curiosity. A need for answers. Why? Why Marcus? Why that night? Why did he pull the trigger? She wanted to hear remorse. She wanted to believe there was an explanation, that something, anything, could make sense of what had happened. The letters turned into visits. Short at first. Awkward. Conversations filled with long pauses. He talked about growing up, about the things he'd done, about the way time moves differently behind bars. He talked about regret. About wishing he could change things. And somehow, over time, she started believing him. The human mind is a fragile thing. It finds ways to justify, to rewrite history, to soften edges that were once sharp. He wasn't the same man, she told herself. Prison had changed him. He was different now. People told her she was making a mistake. Her mother stopped speaking to her. Friends shook their heads, whispered behind her back. But none of it mattered. Because in her mind, she wasn't falling for a killer. She was saving a man who had been lost. In 2016, after serving just 4 years of his 20-year sentence, Demetrius Carter was granted parole. A decision that left Marcus's family stunned. Outraged. They had fought to keep him behind bars. Fought to make sure justice lasted longer than a handful of years. But the system had spoken. And when Carter walked out of prison, she was waiting for him. They got married that same year. A moment she described as a fresh start. A chance to leave the past behind. A chance to rewrite the story. But some stories are never meant to be rewritten. Some endings are already decided. It started small. The kind of things people pretend not to notice. The way she wore long sleeves even when the Alabama heat made it unbearable. The way she flinched when someone moved too quickly near her. The way her smile, once so easy, became something forced, something rehearsed. The first police call came in 2017. A neighbor reported yelling, glass breaking, something heavy slamming against the walls. Officers arrived to find Tyesha standing at the door, arms crossed, blocking their view of the house behind her. There were no bruises, no blood. Just her voice, calm and practiced. It was just a misunderstanding. The officers left. The case was closed. The report was filed away, buried beneath thousands of others just like it. I heard screaming sometimes. But she always said she was fine. She stopped calling her mother. Stopped visiting old friends. The people who had once been closest to her had become reminders of the life she left behind. And in a way, maybe that was the point. Demetrius Carter had been given a second chance. A fresh start. A new life. But he was still the same man. And no matter how many times she told herself otherwise, deep down, she knew it too. Then came September 14, 2018, 10:43 p.m. First a chilling 911. He's back. I think he's going to kill me. Then the radio crackles. A dispatcher's voice cuts through the static. Units be advised, domestic disturbance reported on 8th Avenue West. Caller states the suspect has a firearm. Caller is requesting immediate assistance. By the time officers arrived, the house was quiet. No movement. No shouting. Just the television still playing in the background, its glow flickering against the walls. Tyesha Jackson. 29 years old. Shot twice at close range. Her body crumpled just feet from the doorway, as if she had been trying to escape. And standing in the middle of the living room, hands by his sides, gun still warm in his grip, Demetrius Carter. It was over. Again. Second-degree murder. Again. Sentenced to life without parole. This time, there would be no letters. No second chances. Second-degree murder. Again. Sentenced to life without parole. This time, there would be no letters. No second chances. A mother burying her daughter. A community left with questions that had no answers. A story that should have ended 6 years earlier, but didn't. She believed she could save him. She believed in forgiveness. In redemption. In love. But some people don't change. Some people never let go of the past. And some stories only have one ending. Why do stories like this keep happening? Why do some women choose the very men who destroy them? Is it love? A belief that people can change? Or is it something deeper, something woven into the fabric of their past, their childhood, their understanding of what love is supposed to be? Some say we accept the love we think we deserve. That patterns repeat, no matter how much we swear they won't. That pain, once familiar, becomes easier to justify. To explain away. Tyesha wasn't blind. She saw the red flags. She heard the warnings. But she believed in him. In redemption. In the idea that no one was beyond saving. Even when that belief came at the cost of her own safety. Do you think she knew the danger? Was she trapped? Or did she believe, until the very end, that love could conquer all? Some choices are forever. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more true crime stories. And remember, not every love story is meant to be rewritten. Some endings are written long before we ever see them coming.